See you laid out on the floor, try to duck and roll, hit and miss, now you counting stars. Should've practiced more, should've hit the mask, get out there more, claim that you're the best. You gotta show me, son, actions over words, baby boy, is you real or what? Talking way too much, world come back sports, talking way too much, world come back sports, talking way too much, world come back sports.
Yo, big shout out to the hottest chat name F and Game, A-Side Official. WCS back in the building. What's good? I just dropped in briefly to tell you about the breaking news. But first, let me give a shout out to my guy Haynes. Legacy is in the building. What's good with it, Haynes? May all is well. Prayers every day. You already know. You know what I'm saying? Continue to get better, stronger. You know, keep your chin tucked, eyes open. You know what I'm saying? Best wishes to you and your fam, bro. Yes, sir. Shout out to Carlos Rosado on deck. What it do? I'm definitely going to be on a little bit later, longer than this, but I just wanted to give you the breaking news. You know, Canelo Alvarez has a fight that's scheduled September 12th. And that's, you know, the Mexican independence, representing the Mexican War. And but we're talking about the war that Canelo is going to have on the 12th of September on a Friday. That war is against another pound for pound best, Terrence Bud Crawford. Now, reports has it that Canelo has requested a smaller ring. That smaller ring is very, very much different than any other ring that we've seen in a championship showcase or a fight of this magnitude. From my understanding, the reason for Canelo requesting a smaller ring for Terrence Bud Crawford is just simply this. He feels that the amount of money that he's getting paid, he doesn't feel like moving. You know, he just wants his hands, the left and right, to be able to move. He don't want to go and take a step to the left, step to the right, you know, dip, you know, hands on your hips and all that. He's not trying to be in there doing the electric slide. And I think this frustration boiled over when he was in there with William Skull. Yes, Canelo has been on record as saying a propellant when it comes to boxing for him is fighting boxers who are movers. Canelo does not like fighting boxers who are movers. So that's why he's, you know, he put the request in, somewhat of a grievance, to say he wants a reduced ring size. What you see in the right-hand corner, that's pretty much the ring side that has been approved, because this is the first fight on TKO. And though the octagon or the cage is much bigger than the ring, that has nothing to do with Dana White. Dana White said, hey, they're fighting in Allegiant Stadium. We also want to make as much room for the boxing fans as possible. And plus, Canelo Alvarez does have a point. His opponents have been going the distance, and the only way for us to make this into a thriller is to approve Canelo's ring size. So I from my understanding, I don't know the exact dimensions of the ring, but it's going to be extremely small. It's going to be extremely small because Canelo, he just doesn't have the confidence no more to go in there with a fighter like Crawford and happen to move around the outside and be able to learn how to cut off the ring all over again. Not just cut off the ring, but apply counter punching, effective counter punching with that. That can get the old man tired. So I thought the fight fans would definitely like to know and hear the news that This is only one of many to come that changes that we're going to see in boxing come September. And that Canelo has absolutely, just like he did the franchise title, he is requesting and approve a ringside. I mean, a different ring size to fight Terrence Bud Crawford. Now, a lot of people saying this is basically requested by design for Canelo. He wants the big check and he wants the smaller ring. Less work, hoping for the same results, another win. And us, the boxing fans, we absolutely know there's going to be a very tough fight ultimately when it comes down to Canelo attempting to produce a win versus Crawford. We know that. Look, you can go through all you want. You can say, oh, the key elements of this fight as we break down, the key elements is going to be no. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's going to be a lot of elaborate schemes that's going on, as you all probably already heard on social media, of all these acquisitions that's taking place. They tried to put Crawford at a disadvantage. So when Canelo said, hey, let me just come on out now that my fight's over with Skull, let me come on out and request this freaking ring size and get it over with. You know what I'm saying? Canelo, like, forget what you heard. I'm doing me. I'm getting the higher purse. And also, I'm gonna make sure that Turkey Al-Sheet understands what my requests are. Canelo is making his presence felt. That he said the only way that this fight is going to do incredible numbers, it's going to be something for the record books, for the boxing annals, is that I reduce the ring small enough to appease my Mexican fight fans because they deserve it. And not only that, y'all, this would be the first time Canelo has fought a black fighter that has just as skilled, if not more, than Floyd Mayweather. And we all seen what happened, when he fought Floyd Mayweather, when Floyd was in his 30s. Floyd gave him a master class whooping. And a lot of us, once again, boxing fans, believe that Crawford has a grandiose chance to come in here and give Canelo also a whooping. Shout out to Puma Skills in the building. What's good? Shout out to Honor Brown in the building. The OG Bruce Gas in the building. Toby Bartlett in the building. What's good? Says Canelo wants a phone booth. Absolutely. The size of that ring for Canelo, he said, perfecto, senor. This is exactly what I want right here. I want the ring to be just a little bit bigger than 2 to 3 phone booths. Canelo knows going in there against Crawford, it bring back real ominous freaking memories and reflections. But when he stepped in there with the one and only TBE Floyd Money Mayweather, he stepped in there with a guy who gave him a masterclass. And look, Terrence, he has all the skills and more to go in there and not only give Canelo a masterclass, but 12 rounds based off what we've seen. Requesting this smaller ring size might be absolutely a bad choice for Canelo Alvarez. Even though he's the younger fighter out of Crawford, him and Crawford has been known to have incredible strength. Shout out to Mike in the building. What's good with it, bro? He's been known to have incredible strength. So that's going to play out, in a smaller ring size, clinching, fighting off the ropes. All that is going to play a real, it's going to have a real big effect when these two step in the ring. Now, I don't know if Crawford didn't have any wiggle room to negotiate the terms of this ring size, or they're just basically saying, "Hey, Crawford, you're getting $100 million. That in itself is more than you ever made. Is your biggest paycheck of your career. I mean, it's not much you're going to be able to criticize with this. We're not going to freaking change up no negotiations or anything. Okay? No one is considering Canelo to be cherry picking Terrence Bud Crawford. This is going to be a tough fight for both fighters. But it's even going to be more tougher now that Canelo is requested a damn 6x. I think it's probably a 4x4, a 5x5 ring size, just to basically increase the expectations of the war, to force Bud Crawford into a Mexican style fight. That is the overall objective for Canelo come September 12th. I want to know what y'all think about this. For real. What do you think? Do you believe that Canelo has the right to request a smaller ring that has never been done before in boxing? Shouldn't there be a limit to how small a ring can be just to appease? You know what I'm saying? Just to appease Canelo. He already getting close to what, 150? Oh, God. Damn. I mean, isn't that a little bit over the top, y'all? Requesting a ring this small just so he can hopefully have some dramatic moments in this 12-round showcase. That's all I'm saying. Do you think it's a little bit over the top? It just seems like Canelo is just doing too much in this. Just too much, bro. Bruce Gass says 16x16 is the smallest I've ever seen. And look, if anybody have seen a 16x16, that is super small. That is super small comparable to the usuals. That's over 20. You know what I'm saying? It's over 20. Yeah, Floyd definitely like the ring size that you can move around. Absolutely. Floyd definitely like to take full advantage of the perimeter. Being that he was one of those boxers that can benefit from that. I believe when it comes to Crawford, I think he'll do very well in a ring size this small. I do. I believe he'll do very, very well in a ring size this small. For 12 rounds, we can actually say with confidence that this fight ain't lasting 12. This fight is not going the distance, bro. I like it. This fight isn't going the distance. Definitely a KO on the horizon. I'm not gonna lie to you. For real. Just get him a kennel. Hey, Puma, the fighters definitely have to be able to stand up. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know if it went to the ground, Crawford will win that, being he does have a wrestling background. But per the boxing rules and regulations, they have to be able to stand up on both feet, because a knockdown is considered any part of your body other than the soles of your feet touching the canvas. You know what I'm saying? I mean, basically influenced by a punch is considered a knockdown. So we definitely have to get something for them to stand up. Haynes say there's not even room for someone to drop. Yeah, it's definitely room. Definitely room. The ropes can only do so much when you're in a ring of this size. And the gloves, you see them gloves over there? Them gloves, supposedly, allegedly, I'm not sure. But those gloves are, Crawford gloves, who was in there, getting a little feel for a ring this size and shit. He was getting some sparring in. So that's allegedly the ring, man. Red corner, blue corner. It looks like it meets all the prerequisites and specifications. I like this, man. I like this ring. I don't like Canelo requesting the size of it, but I like it because Crawford gets to go in there and fight Canelo in Allegiant Stadium in a ring of this size. I mean, come on now. You might want to bring your binoculars. You might want to bring some type of visual device that you can zoom in from a distance to see this. This is going to be a moment where I don't think the big screen is going to be able to do it justice. You better bring some a monocular, something that's monocular, a binocular, just so you can see the fight. It's going to be a hell of a freaking um, championship showcase for Undisputed. This is going to take and push fighters to a whole nother level. The referee, just think about how the referee, from my understanding, the referee is not even going to be in the ring. The referee is going to be on the outside of the ring looking in. For a first time ever, the referee is going to be on the outside looking in, bro. He's going to be on the ring apron. And all he's going to do is tap the shoulder of the fighter that's closer to him to break if they need to break. But yeah, this is going to be absolutely a challenge coming from both sides. It's going to be rigorous. It's going to be one of those I think situations that we can archive and say, I want to go back and watch this fight. It can be one of the most violent contests too, because we've seen Canelo. We've seen Crawford and Spence. So imagine what he's going to do to Canelo in a ring of this size. He's going to destroy him. He's going to destroy. If he is in the ring this size with Canelo, man, it's going to be incredible for both fighters. I'm not going to lie. The cycle of punches, the referee is not really going to be able to, he's not going to have to tell them to work, anything like that. They're going to get the work in. They're going to get the work in and everything. And then the special rules to this fight with the ring of this size is that when the corner in between rounds, the fighter is just going to stand up in the corner, face their, corner, stand up. You got to put, check the cuts and all that, because there's going to be some cuts, Vaseline, put the shit, give them water and all that. There's no sitting down in here. They're just going to be standing up for 12 rounds. That's going to play a huge factor. I like it. This Undisputed fight September 12th is shaping up to be an absolutely war. Seriously, it's shaping up to be something super special, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna call that the Colin Kaepernick ring. You can only take a knee. Hey, that's what they say. The Tank Davis special. Hey, who's gonna take a knee first, though? Who's gonna take a knee first? That is the biggest question. Who is taking a knee first in a ring of this size? Period. But I will say this. This thumbnail will piss a lot of people off. I see there is some, familiar strays in the chat. It's okay. Let them eat. They're over here for a reason. They understand Canelo has no chance in the ring of this size. It's not going to play out well for him. It's not. He wants to be close. From what I've seen with the William Skull fight, he acted like he was trying to cut off the ring, but he really wasn't trying. He really wasn't. He just, he just didn't put forth max effort to try to land punches on Skull. So in the ring like this, we don't have to worry about any excessive movement, Canelo getting frustrated. Crawford's going to be right there in his face, and it's going to be a hell of a mother effing fight. I like these changes. I want to see what the next changes are going to be. I'm thinking about the glove size. What if they change the glove size, yo, to a smaller glove? That's going to be incredible in a ring of this size. Man, reducing or decreasing the glove size will make for a hell of a freaking change in a cruel way. This is going to be a one-off. I'm not sure we'll ever have a fight like this in the next 15 or 20 years. The only reason I'm mentioning it because these guys have both been on the pound for pound list longer than all the other 8, right? multi-time undisputed. Crawford, 2 divisions. Canelo, 2 times at 168. Their portfolio jacket goes without saying. Heavy accolades and achievements, right? This fight right here, with the balancing of their record jackets and what they've been able to accomplish as far as earning championships and divisions, 4 divisions apiece. This is what's going to change, in my opinion. This is what's going to change the ebbs and flows and the momentum of this fight, because Crawford's fighting for his 5th division. He's fighting for his 3rd division undisputed. Whereas Canelo, he's fighting to retain his undisputed crowns and just to do it for legacy. Both of these guys is fighting for legacy, of course. Regardless of what you hear, what people say that Canelo is earning nothing from this, of course he is. Of course he is. He's absolutely earning legacy points, just like Crawford, legacy points. You're talking about 2 Hall of Famers. 2 Hall of Famers right now with all the accolades that they have. With all these accolades, yo. When will we ever see a fight like this again? Where both fighters' credentials match up very well. Of course, there's going to be critique. But we're talking about the conversation when it initially hit the surface. People start to slowly but surely speak on it. It was rejection at first because this is new to the boxing fans. Oh, this shouldn't happen. Crawford too small. He going to 2-weight division. All that was talked about. You know what I'm saying? And then it comes down to, I think we want to see this fight. Crawford's pushing for the fight. And then others start to get on board. There's still some that just cannot visually, shutter that snapshot. They just can't push the button and say, oh, okay, I see it now. It's still people that are saying that Crawford's too freaking small. But then when you look at the picture when he was standing next to Troy Isley, the Transformer, that's a middleweight contender right now. He looked just as big as Troy Isley. And then not to mention that, yes, Canelo's coming off a skull fight and he went 12 rounds. And people saying, yeah, Canelo got the rounds in. Yeah, he ran around the ring chasing Skull. Cool. Kudos. That's what he did. He ran around the ring chasing Skull. He got some rounds in. But as far as punishment, as far as letting his hands go, all he did was go on a run. It was just like Canelo getting some training in, doing fight camp, and he was going on a run. That's all. Crawford had a full year off his Madrimov fight to properly prepare with one of the best teams in the sport of boxing, one of the best trainers in the sport of boxing. He had ample amount of time. I can only imagine the film, the conversation that him and Bomac is having, along with Red Spike and Esau, his team, everybody else over there, Bernie the boxer. I can only imagine when the fight has finally been announced officially, what they've been talking about, the film they've been watching. And I know there's conversation that people are saying, well, Canelo looked like that on purpose. It doesn't matter if he looked the way he did against Skull on purpose. Skull wasn't doing anything. So Canelo understands that he has the numbers in his bank account. It's been checked. It's been approved. Why would he go out there and chase around a belt that he's going to get anyway? He really didn't have to go overdo it just so he wouldn't have to be nursing, he wouldn't be nursing an injury heading into September 12th. So Team Crawford, they have nothing really to look at in his last fight, except the lack of effort that Canelo, him not being willing to cut off the ring. And then they have a plethora of other fights that they can look at Canelo of recent to kind of gauge what game plan that they're going to set up. I truly look at Eddie Reynoso as an OG. You know, I do. I look at Eddie Reynoso as an OG. I look at Bomac as an OG in the boxing game when it comes to trainers. I look at Crawford and Canelo. They're OG vets in the game. They're elite. They're at the top of the hierarchy when it comes to the sport of boxing. And that's why this fight is going to be amazing. Boxing IQ, adjustments. This is not going to be a rock'em sock'em. Oh, I don't know what to do. Like Conor Ben kept on loading up on his shots and just throwing power shots. You're not going to see this from Bud Crawford. You're not going to see it, yo. You're not going to see the constant loading up and missing shots. Canelo ain't moving like that. And Crawford has a pretty respectable percentage of accuracy when it comes to his countering. You know, his jab is absolutely, like they used to say, educated. Crawford has a pretty punctual jab, yo. Very sharp. One that would knock Hoss on his ass every time. If Crawford threw his jab and missed Hoss, Hoss would go flying to the ground. You know what I'm saying? And ask for an autograph when he opened his eyes. Period. That's why he over here showing support for Bud Crawford. Because, you know, they're sending the little stray pups over here to collect information and then bring it back to the kennels to tell all the other strays, you know, so they can come up with a perfect time for them to show up. You know, because this is going to get ugly. This is May. When it comes June, July, this is going to get super ugly. There's going to be some very bad things that said. There's going to be a lot of what you call what you call that? There's going to be a lot of conversation just to say, okay, we want to take this away from boxing. We want to turn this into a race war. We want to turn it into something much deeper than boxing. They're going to start getting personal. They're going to start saying things about people's family. That's all. You know, it's going to get wicked, bro. It's going to get wicked. You're going to hear people say, oh, the only fighter that's we respect is Errol Spence that he has on his record. But Dreamoff, he really didn't have that much experience to step in there with Crawford, and Crawford struggled with him. You know, looking back, like I say, looking back on what Turkey Al-Sheikh, 2 fight cards, 11 fights going the distance. I'm thinking Bud Crawford went the distance with Madrimov because he had to. Man, all makes sense. You remember when I said, look, they can say the way Bud Crawford looked against Madrimov, because I think it took Bud, he had a much harder time going in there not doing what he wanted to do, vice what he would have done going in there, how he wanted it all to play out against Spence. When he went in there with Spence, he was just free flowing. You know, it wasn't no moments where you just shook your head and say, that's not Bud. That's not typical of Bud. He just went in there and got the shit done. But Madrimov, it just seems like, you know, he had to move around a little bit. I know people are going to disagree with me, but he had to move around a little bit. He had to put some rounds away. He had to play. Bud ain't the player. You have too many people talking about him holding hands with Turkey. What does that got to do with anything? He's been knowing Turkey for years. Y'all focusing on the wrong thing. Y'all need to focus on this ring and how Canelo is going to be able to make it to the 6th or 7th round. People keep on insinuating that Crawford's getting knocked out, yo. They act like Bud is just this giant. They act like this man is Goliath. Where did that come from? Show me a picture. It's pretty. Screenshot a picture. I just want to see it. Jay on deck, what's good? Yeah, Hoss just over here. You know, he's just trying to be the first responder from the strays. They haven't got full permission to go out here. They got to get their confidence up first. That's all. That's all. Jag on deck. What's good? Salute to you, bro. But I'll be on a little bit later, man. I want to come over here and talk about this because Canelo is up to his old tricks. He wants to submit paperwork, and it's okay. But we'll definitely talk later. Salute to the hottest chat in the MF and game. Appreciate y'all for pulling up. We should do it again. I'm out.